Good morning, Ambassador.
Morning.
Pleasure to meet you.
Welcome. Welcome to my place. Italian residency.
Yeah.
Key word of the visit was diversification. We have, the responsibility to make that visit a complete success now. 18 agreements were signed, 18 reasons to work harder. It's a great time for our relations. We would like to have also Italian and European people coming to Kazakhstan.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Astana Times YouTube channel. My name is Astana and I'm joined today by the Ambassador of Italy to Kazakhstan, Mr. Marco Alberti. Mr. Ambassador, thank you for having us today here in your residence.
Thank you very much for coming and for having me.
So, the year began with the President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev's visit to the Italian Republic. And the visit was significant not only because it's the first official visit this year, but it's also his first one as the President of Kazakhstan. So in what ways do you think this visit of the President of Kazakhstan would strengthen the bilateral ties between our countries?
Let me say that in 2022, when I said that we would celebrate the 30th anniversary looking ahead, not back. And Together Towards 2050 was the name of our program. In 2023, we started implementing this vision, and in 2024, we are witnessing the first tangible results. President Tokayev visit to Rome, which happens 15 years after the previous visit, is a typical example of the relaunch of diplomatic relations that we wanted. And it happens after the visit of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Italian Foreign Affairs, to Astana in September, which happened 26 years after the previous visit. And let me just say that President Tokayev went to Italy not alone, but with 5 ministers, 2 deputy ministers, and the top executive of the most important Kazakh companies. This is a shared will of relaunch cooperation, bilateral cooperation at all levels. We will start implementing that visit with following visit, institutional and economic visit. And let me say that we have the responsibility to make that visit a complete success now. For example, not only bilaterally, Italy leads the G7 this year, and Kazakhstan will lead many international multilateral organizations this year, the SCO and the Organization of Turkish State and the CSTO. So a lot of follow-ups for the visit, and I think that it represents the relaunch of our bilateral relations.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of the specific actions and initiatives that will be taken now as a follow-up to the visit?
First of all, 18 agreements were signed. 18 agreements mean 18 reasons to work harder. So we already started working this week, immediately after the visit, and we will have a lot of work to do on the institutional and the economic and the cultural level. So, the implementation of what has been signed is the first concrete follow-up that we have in front of us. And the second is a complete restoring of the institutional visit. We don't want to leave so much time from one visit to another one. So, we are working on this as well. And I think these are, concrete follow-ups of something that happened in Italy after many years.
Many years have passed since the visit of the Kazakh President to Italy and the same vice versa to Kazakhstan from Italy. How would you explain the increased, like you said, the relaunch of diplomatic relations? I
think that, it depends on the shared wills of the country, to reestablish, to relaunch or transform excellent bilateral relations into strategic partnership. So the politicians, define, the strategy, and the diplomats implement that strategy. So I think that, there is a reason which is maybe geopolitical. Kazakhstan is incredibly more open to the world now, and Italy, has many opportunities, to relaunch, establish, and make these relations more strategic. So I think that it's a great time for our relations, and we just take advantage of this opportunity.
Yeah, indeed. And in terms of trade and investment, energy sector has definitely been the pillar of the bilateral cooperation. We know many Italian companies are present in the energy sector in Kazakhstan. But what is interesting and what I'm observing is that this presence is not only confined to the traditional hydrocarbon sector, but also in the renewable energy sector. Could you elaborate more on the deals signed in this sector during the visit of the Kazakh president? And maybe what are your views on the cooperation moving forward in this area?
Oh, I partially disagree. I think that the visit was based, the key word of the visit was diversification. So energy, of course, it means a pillar of our bilateral relations, but we decided not to focus the visit only on energy, despite we talked about renewable energy and not only hydrocarbons. So, you know, of course, I mean, the energy still is a key point of our relations. And it's interesting how Italy wants to accompany Kazakhstan towards, I mean, the decarbonization by 2060. One of the key agreement was exactly regarding this new ENI arm wind project, which is an hybrid project, sustainability and innovation together, which is key. There are a lot of opportunities in the transition-linked business. It's not only generation. When people talk about the transition, they always focus on green generation, wind pales or solar, but along the entire value chain, you have a lot of opportunities. For example, there is a need of massive investment in grids in Kazakhstan, in transportation and distribution grids in Kazakhstan, and Italy has a lot of top-notch technologies companies which are ready to come. But I talked about diversification because, for example, we signed Bonifiche Ferraresi, the largest agribusiness company, signed a key agreement, unique in Kazakhstan, with TNK Agrofirma, which develops the entire vertically integrated chain in the agribusiness from seed to fork. And that's completely different vision from the past in the agribusiness. We want to cooperate to maximize the production and also to help Kazakhstan to open new markets in Italy of its products. There are new agreements in the petrochemical sector, probably some of the most interesting. And last but not least, just to mention some, in the aviation sector, regarding, I mean, the possibility to increase the connection between Italy and Kazakhstan, and also on the insurance side, on the financial side, agreements between CDP and Sambruk Casino, which, I mean, will transform our vision on Kazakhstan and probably will make Italy more aware of Kazakhstan.
During the visit in Rome, Kazakh and Italian leaders also spoke about the Trans-Caspian international transport road, and we know that Kazakhstan is paying significant attention to the development of this road. In your view, what is Italy's interest in this corridor?
Well, Middle Corridor is, you know, priority for the EU as a whole because it belongs to the Global Gateway Initiative. It's a priority for the single European countries, and it's a priority for those countries like Italy, which are extremely exposed to export. Italy last year, 2023, the value of export for Italy was 660 billion. So it's key for us. And according to the World Bank, I mean, the Middle Corridor will increase around 30%, so 28, 33%, the capacity of transportation on this line. Let me say that I see that it's a double opportunity for Italy. It's an opportunity now to invest in the infrastructure network which is necessary to build up the Middle Corridor, and later it will be an opportunity to increase the trade on the infrastructures once they are in place. Double opportunity, middle and long term, an incredible opportunity. When I talk to Italian companies and institutions, I say that there is no Middle Corridor without Kazakhstan. And when I talk with Kazakh friends, I say there is no Middle Corridor without EU and Italian investments.
Yeah, indeed. And since you mentioned the European Union, and as a follow-up to your point, how do you see the bilateral ties between Kazakhstan and Italy in the context of the European Union?
We need, I mean, to emphasize that the relations between EU and Kazakhstan have reached a higher level compared to the past. I mean, last year in 2023, we had 3 or 4 commissioners visiting Kazakhstan, and we had a lot of top-ranked institutional representative of Kazakhstan visiting Brussels. And we had, I mean, the economic summit between EU and Central Asia in Kazakhstan. There are a lot of, a number of initiatives. There is a dialogue on sanctions, very open, transparent dialogue on sanctions, which makes our relations transparent and very positive. And I think that we shouldn't forget that EU is still the number one investor in Kazakhstan. And the middle corridor will increase this importance, and not only the importance of the investment of EU in Kazakhstan, but the importance of having a real partnership included into the framework of the partnership that we signed in 2019.
Mm-hmm. And besides Kazakhstan, what is Italy's view on the Central Asian region?
Let me just say that, I think that it's completely different from the past as well. Last year, 2023, there were a visit of another head of state of region, Central Asia to Rome. We will have some institutional visits this year in the region and from the region to Italy. And I think this openness to Central Asia becomes from the awareness that this region is more and more central. Central Asia is more and more central, not only for the bilateral relations, but also for the connections that we can develop from East-West and West-East. So there is a new perception of centrality and geopolitical and geoeconomic centrality of this region that Italy wants to take advantage of.
Mm-hmm. And overall, speaking about President Tokayev's visit, how do you gauge the public perception of this visit in Italy? Among officials, among the public maybe?
I think it was excellent beyond any best expectations. The long extended bilateral meetings were extremely productive on a number of bilateral topics, but also there was also a common vision on some of global challenges that we are facing together. The concept of collaboration came up very clearly between the two countries. And if you read, the Twitter by our Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, it's absolutely reflected this positive, very positive attitude that we had during the meetings. And on the economic side, there were 35 CEOs and presidents of the best and largest Italian companies during the economic roundtable, listening to the president, inviting them to invest in Kazakhstan. And I can guarantee that 35 CEOs and presidents is a good result. And last but not least, also on the media, the visit had a quite relevant visibility, despite the geopolitical turmoil we are going through, and despite the crisis which attract visibility. So it's we have a responsibility now to transform this positive, very positive sentiment into projects.
And one of the notable initiatives launched and announced during the visit was, of course, the announcement by Neos airline about the upcoming launch of flights connecting Astana to Rome and Milan. And I would be, honestly, we were very happy to hear the news. And how do you think our cooperation can benefit from this moving forward?
Yeah, Neos made a successful bet 2 years ago. We helped the company to launch this direct flight, which is the first ever between the two countries. And now we can say that it was successful. Now the company, on the basis of that success, is ready to explore more opportunities. But this time, as the company said, they need a strong cooperation with a Kazakh partner. That's absolutely necessary to share the entrepreneurial risk to enlarge this opportunity. I don't know if it's a co-share or interline agreements or any other kind of agreement, but what the company said is 2 points. One, we are ready to explore. Second, we need a new cooperation, a new partnership with the Kazakh counterpart. I think there is a huge potential, and let me say that that aircraft by Neos is filled up with Kazakh people. We would like to have also Italian and European people coming to Kazakhstan using their flight. So it's on Kazakh the possibility to use that flight or those flights in the future to increase and to position Kazakhstan to increase inbound tourism to the country.
Mm-hmm. And this is very interesting because Italy is a beloved destination among Kazakh citizens. Do you observe similar interest to Kazakhstan among Italian citizens?
Let me put it this way. The interest is high when the people start knowing Kazakhstan. So there is a gap that needs to be filled up, a gap of knowledge about Kazakhstan. But as soon as they understand, as soon as the Italians understand something about Kazakhstan, they feel attracted. feel attracted by nature, by culture, by this concept of nomadic, culture to be experienced. And I think that there are some opportunities this year in 2024. One, for example, is the nomadic games in September in Astana. There could be an incredible opportunity, to position Kazakhstan, to market Kazakhstan, to create a nation brand in Europe to attract more Italians and also more Europeans. So, yes, Kazakhstan exerts a sort of attraction as soon as it is known by people in Europe and Italy.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned diversification, and creative industry is a major area of cooperation between Italy and Kazakhstan. I know that you've opened the Italian Cultural Institute last year in Almaty, and this year the Italian Center for Creative Industry is expected to be opened. How do you see the cooperation in creative industry yourself?
You know that Italy is a creative industry country by definition.
Yes.
Italy, the creative industry for Italy is 98 billion worth, so euros. So a huge portion of our GDP. We make a difference between creative industry applied to industry or to industrial design, for example, or creative industry applied to culture. Both are very important. And one of the ideas that we had is exactly to start a cooperation on these specific areas because of the creativity that we see in Kazakhstan under two conditions. First, we need a cooperation with Kazakhstan. We need to have some stakeholders able to share with us the ideas that we have in terms of entrepreneurial initiative, but also in terms of educational entrepreneurial initiatives. The first step will be having here some Italian institutions for some modules of education for educators. So we want to widespread the concept of creativity that we have in Italy. I think the potential is huge. There is a huge potential, but we need to understand that creativity is not only ideas. Yes. Creativity is, first of all, hard work. Hard work and medium and long-term vision. Because if we believe that creativity is only ideas, we just keep our ideas, but we can't transform them into the project.
I want to move on to your personal experience here in Kazakhstan. I know that it's been a little more than 2 years since you started your mission here in the country. How would you describe your overall experience in Kazakhstan and maybe highlight some of the achievements here that you're particularly proud of?
Let me say that everybody knows my team, but also my Kazakh friends, they know that I feel absolutely at home here. I started my mandate here thinking that it would be forever. Because if you think that is the term, you have a countdown in your mind. I didn't want the countdown. I want to stay here as it was forever and being surprised someday if somebody will tell me, look, you have to go. And I think it's the right attitude to develop a solid relationship with the country. I don't know, over the last 2 years, I promised that we would go back to the level of trade turnover, the pre-COVID level, and we have already reached out. Over the last 2 years, the turnover has tripled. We have a new Italian Cultural Institute operating, which will develop this driver of foreign policy, which is cultural cooperation. Over the last 2 years, we organized 81 promotional events. We have a Confindustria subsidiary here, which is the largest Italian companies association, which, by the way, they signed an agreement with Datameken very recently. We have a new office of ANSA, which is our agency. I think that the program of institutional visit has been restarted. I need to be grateful to my team and to the Italian Kazakh institution, all the stakeholders that accompanied me. I'm happy, not satisfied, because there is a lot of work to do out there.
Mm-hmm. And I'm very glad to hear that you feel at home here in Kazakhstan. On my final question, what do you find the most rewarding aspect of your diplomatic service in general?
I think that when you are a diplomat, you need to be open to be enriched through the meetings of people, through the different culture. And I think I'm richer than 2 years ago. That's absolutely rewarding. The second point is the working in a strategical way. When I landed here, I promised myself that I wanted to work in a strategic way, which means basically two things. One, to choose. Because any strategy implies a choice. Choice is difficult, but it's the only way to think strategically. If everything is a priority, nothing really is. So we were able to choose something, and this is extremely rewarding. The second point is, which is extremely rewarding as well, is working on building up a scale-up culture. I don't want to settle for what I find when I land a place. I think that we have to grow and we have to improve. And we have to scale up our business, bilateral business. We have to scale up our institutional relation. We have to scale up also inter-university cooperation, for example. I'm particularly proud last year, 2023, we issued 21,000 visas, of which 1,900 to students, Kazakh students who chose Italy to be educated. And that's the best way to create a solid, future-proof relations between the two countries.
Mm-hmm. And what are your expectations from 2024?
That's a secret. Surprise. As any dream, let me just say that dreams need to be great. If they are not great, it's not worth dreaming. So my dreams are great for this year. My commitment is strong, but if the result is secret, I don't want to disclose it because, as you know, the tradition said that if you disclose a dream, it's going to be happen.
Yeah. Thank you very much. That's a wrap on my question, Mr. Ambassador.
Thanks a lot.